And we're back with part two. This is a limited edition. So, in the future, when people are discussing texting episodes, this is going to be like the one of the most prized episodes. It's going to have the glitch at the end. It's going to be like, the secret track.
It's a real rarity.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, we had some technical difficulties yesterday, so we're back around 24 hours later. Um, Mark hasn't bothered to change his clothes. But I did shower and so on. So. But no, seriously, I was in the middle of a quick synopsis, which is a bit bizarre to do at the end of the show, but there you have it. And just wanted to conclude by saying that after this epic hike up the Matterhorn and then this mad scamper down, he narrates some more adventures in the West Coast bohemian world that he's immersed in, and then, probably spurred on by Jaffe, he elects to become a lookout on Desolation Peak in Washington, which we talked about earlier in the show. And he stays up there, I think, about 65 days. And just something interesting that I heard about that is some critics believe that this was kind of a turning point in his writing career, that everything after that doesn't really match up. And they think that it was just too much for him to be with his own demons for such a long time. I'm not saying I buy into that, but it's just an interesting theory I heard.
Well, you as you mentioned, read Desolation Angels and you enjoyed it.
I liked it very much. It was definitely more melancholic than On the Road and Dharma Bums, aka On the Road 2.0. But so perhaps it is a start of some kind of more sober, not necessarily in the alcoholic sense, but a more sober outlook on life for Mr. Kerouac.
Or somber, like it more pessimistic and
Right, but
melancholic.
sober can take that meaning too, right?
Sure.
Sobering.
Yes.
Um,
yeah. Well, I'd like to read Desolation Angels now after
I recommend it.
Yeah, well, after having enjoyed the Dharma Bums so much, I mean, I'd be open to reading like all of his works at some point, but I think that would be the next logical one.
Would you like to be a lookout?
For a short period of time, I think I could do it, maybe for a month. Maybe that's too ambitious. Maybe I could only last a week. I don't know what it all involves, but the
You're gonna
idea of
go
like
Jack Nicholas?
like in The
Is that his
Shining,
name? Yeah.
Jack
I'm
Nicholson.
like,
Jack Nicholas is a golfer, but
I had a
I
fifty
knew
percent chance.
for some reason I knew what you meant.
I had a fifty
You're
percent
talking
chance.
about Jack Nicholson in The Shining, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he had his family with him, but uh, I don't know. I that At this point, I wouldn't necessarily seek that sort of experience out. I wouldn't necessarily want to have that experience at this point in my life, but I could, I could do
It could
it.
make you very productive as a writer.
That's possible. Or, you could freeze your balls off. I
Yeah.
guess it depends on where you are and what the conditions are. I mean, that kind of solitude, I think I could benefit from it for a short period of time, but I would, after a while, I think, feel lonely. I would miss certain people. I mean, certain people I wouldn't miss at all, and I'd be
It's
happy
just
to get
interesting
away from. But
because I think it could go something like that could go either way, right? Like in theory,
yeah,
it could be
yeah.
something that benefits your mental health and makes you calmer, or it could make you have to wrestle with your demons more.
Yeah, it's like, they say solitary imprisonment is the worst form of torture. And when you think about being in the general population of a modern prison, I mean, I I think what could be worse than that? Like you're exposed to all kinds of dangers from the other maniacs you're locked up with, right? But they say that as bad as that is, solitary is even worse.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I think sometimes they even like deal with lights in certain ways. Just like it's either bright all the time or it's dark all the time.
Well, if they're doing things to fuck with you, like sleep deprivation and blasting music like they do in torture camps, that's another matter.
I
But I'm
think
just
Chelsea
saying,
Manning went through some of that, by the
well,
way.
sure, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, if they just kind of put you in a cell and left you alone, you got your meals, you got an hour of exercise time or whatever. um I don't know. I don't have that experience, but when I just think about it in the abstract, just theoretically, I, I perhaps naively think that I would like that better than being in with the general population and have to, like, avoid getting ass raped or
You just have to hang out with the other whites.
yeah. And see, that's what I mean. Like, to avoid all of that, uh, I am tempted to say I would prefer just being left alone, but
You need to be in
maybe
a
it would.
Russian prison with other political activists, and
Oh
then you'd
yeah.
find your
Well, maybe
find
maybe
kinship.
maybe I would be, maybe I'd have a psychological break. I mean, I don't really want to do that experiment.
Okay, anyway. So, you wanted me to introduce the. Is anything else, or are we going to jump into the preview of the next episode?
Well, at the end of the book, the narrator says that he just went back down to the world, or to this world. I don't remember the exact phrase, but it's like just like the lunatic Zen masters of China and Japan that he admired so much, right? Who often had these mystical spiritual experiences on mountains, you know, in solitude. So after he had those experiences, he went back down from the mountain to the real world, or the workaday world, or I don't know, 1950s consumerist America. So it's almost like he's announcing his, or it's like he's renouncing his um, Buddhist phase. It's like, I had this amazing experience which forever changed me, but now I'm returning to reality,
Right,
for lack
with
of a better
maybe
word.
with a more sympathetic view of what it means to be part of society, right? Like
Yeah, a
something that maybe
more
he, yeah,
more compassionate. We've talked about how compassion is a key concept here, so maybe he can be more compassionate. And that's what a bodhisattva is. It's like an enlightened being that willingly takes on the pain and suffering of ordinary human existence, agrees willingly to exist in the world, for the sake of, I don't know, disseminating the
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 Dharma.
yeah, and the concept of compassion, and trying to practice compassion. So there's that aspect too, which is nice, and um you know was enjoyable to read.
Sure.